Hey there, Soul Shines. It's Michelle here, and I am inviting you to wake up and live. And today, we will be talking about the theory of relativity. Sorry, I had my glasses close by, and I thought it sounded kind of sciencey. We're talking about the theory of relativity. Usually, when we think about the theory of relativity, we think about Albert Einstein and his it has to do with the vacuum and quantum physics and all that kind of stuff. We're going to talk about how the law of relativity applies to manifesting and the laws of the universe, and it is a law of the universe. So basically, what it is how you perceive it. You could call it like the law of perception, maybe. It's how you see things. So everything that happens is neither good nor bad. It is how we see it and what labels we put on it and what we perceive it to be. So the law of relativity in Einstein's theory has to do with the observer, how the observer observes things. So it had to do with guy goes out into space through a vacuum and speed of light, I think it is. And he, because he's moving so fast, he doesn't age, but his twin brother back on Earth ages, and they've just perceived time completely different, and that's kind of what it's about. It's about our perception and how we observe things. So, that's very important, and that's pretty darn cool. How can we use this with manifesting? So we talked about, and I will link it in the cards, I don't remember which slide it comes on, somewhere, is an iCard that will come up, and it will be a link to the law of perpetual transmutation. Everything is moving in and out of form. So how can we use this law in conjunction with that and with the law of attraction? So this is where comparison comes in. Comparison in this case, it's either going to really hurt you or really help you. And comparison isn't a law. Every once in a while I accidentally refer to it as a law. It's more of a principle, a concept, a little help, if you will. So bad circumstances. At one point in time, one winter, it was pretty crazy, and our heater didn't work, and so for months we were in freezing cold weather inside of our house. How can I use the theory of, or the law of relativity to help me manifest in that situation? This is where you start looking for the good, because that circumstance is neither good nor bad. I can look for the fact that I had a roof over my head, so I wasn't being bombarded by the elements. I didn't have the wind, I didn't have the snow. If it was raining, I didn't have the rain. I didn't have direct sunlight. I didn't have, it was cold, but it was kind of a consistent cold. And so that was a bonus and something that I could see that was good. I could have woed and complained. This is where mindset comes in. The scarcity mindset and the abundance mindset. I could turn into scarcity mindset and start looking at all the things wrong with the situation. Or I could turn into abundance mindset. We had plenty of blankets. We had the comfort of a place to live. We could turn on the stove and make our dinner, which gave us a little bit of heat. We could bring in electric heaters. We could wear jackets. Here's a bonus. When that winter, I'm usually super, super sensitive to the cold. And so I'll be in the house, I'll go out, and I just freeze when I get outside, and I get so cold that it's hard to move. Because our house was so cold all of the time, I hardly noticed the winter. When I'd go outside, I didn't really notice it was cold because I was always cold. And now I did have a baby at the time, and maybe that's why she likes the cold. She's now almost 16, and she loves the cold. What a strange girl. Where'd she come from? So that's one of the things that you can look at. You can look at, you can look for the good or bad. You can also bring in comparison in a healthy way. So in this circumstance, one of the things that helped me is to look at people who are worse off. There are people living on the streets that winter, as they are every winter. I wasn't living on the streets. I had a warm bed to sleep in. The air around my bed wasn't, but we had plenty of blankets, and I was married, so I had somebody to snuggle up with. Um, so there were, so I had shelter. Um, the people on the street didn't. I could think about my pioneer ancestors in the past who were walking across the plains or riding in wagons across the plains or on the handcart companies, like different. I don't think I had any that were handcarts, but a lot of them walked. A lot of them, I mean, I had a great, maybe three greats, grandmother who gave birth to a baby on the banks of the Mississippi River as they were being pushed out of Nauvoo. So I have strong pioneer heritage and that Mormon pioneer thing going on in my history. And I have this ancestor that gave birth on the banks of the river. That is so bizarre to me to think about. Like, oh my gosh, how did she survive it? My great grandfather, he might be a three greats. I'm not sure the generations back on that, but he was like 3 or 4 years old at the time. I think maybe he was a little bit older. So I can look back on those things and think, oh my gosh, at least I gave birth to all of my babies in shelter. I gave birth to all of them in hospitals. My financial circumstances didn't allow for a home birth, which I would have done, interestingly enough. So I gave birth in hospitals. I didn't have to sleep out under the stars. I didn't have wagons. A lot of the pioneers that walked across didn't even have shoes by the time they were done, and that was not something. So for me to look at those experiences, I can look and say, you know what, I'm actually pretty well off. That is a time when comparison is actually really good for you because you're able to see that things are well. I apologize for the background noise. I'm not going to take time to say anything to my kids, and I'm not re-recording this. It is what it is. They've been an adventure today. But hey, at least I have kids, right? See, I can use that comparison in a healthy way. When comparison is unhealthy is when I look at my friends getting married and I start feeling bad for myself because I'm not married. That is an unhealthy. When I look at my friend who released, she was actually probably she's a little bit taller than me, so she probably looked very similar to me though when she was at her full weight, and she is now wearing a size 3, 2, 3, something like that, 3, 4. I don't know how the sizes work anymore. It's been too long since I've been down there. I can look at her and I could be excited for her, or I could look at her and feel bad for myself. So that's when comparison is bad. Comparison is bad when we look at other people and we start feeling sorry for ourselves. If we are in a slump and we want to pull out of it, we can use comparison to look at people who are worse off than ourselves and help us to step into gratitude for where we're at. So comparison with the law of relativity, comparison is neither good or bad. It is your perception of it, is your judgment of it, is how you decided it. It's like, you decide whether it's good or bad, or it can also be in the circumstances. It's all about observation. And that is what truly the law of relativity is all about. Observation. What are you observing? You can observe that when I came across a wall and I got this OCD thing like so in my face, like everywhere I'm going, I'm seeing how it has affected things. Even in, I'm seeing how it affected myself. And like when I was learning love languages, I I still every once in a while go there, but I become obsessive. I've got to know what my type is, what is my love language, and I become obsessive about it. And I didn't even realize that until like last night. I was thinking about it. I was like, whoa. And I have so many people who are like, why can't you let go of that system? It's a system that I know is flawed. And yet I still find myself trying to find my place in that system. And yet I know the system is flawed. And that's like this crazy thinking. So one could look at that and think, oh my gosh, that is bad. But for me, I look at that and I think that is so awesome. It is so awesome I'm having the awareness. And it is so awesome that it's coming up now, because as it comes up, then I can take it head on. I can do whatever I need to do to change my stinking thinking and get on the right path. As I am moving towards the things that I want, sometimes things go bad. So I'm getting ready to I started a new channel. It's called Michelle Waves Hello, and it has to do with the fact that I have wavy hair. It was a play on words. And so I started this new channel. I've posted my first little like minute intro video commercial, if you will. And I posted a video yesterday, and then I'm getting ready to record my one that I'm going to post next week. And I'm really excited about it because here's what happened. I've been looking for ways to make my hair curlier. I found a wavy girl to follow on YouTube, and she gave her like advice what wavy girls need to do, and I said, great, I'm a wavy girl, and I did it, and I dried my hair, which was already dry. I dried it out. And then I listened to this other person who talked about how to bring water into your hair using honey, and I followed that, and I dried my hair out even more. And so you could look at it and say that is horrible. That is a really bad experience. You like totally dried your hair out so bad. But I look at it and think, oh my gosh, that is such an amazing opportunity. I am so blessed and I am so lucky because I have learned so much about hair. I have learned about different porosities. I have learned about protein and protein sensitivity, the need for moisture, or some people need less moisture because of dew points and humidity in the air and like all of these different things. So I've learned so much, and I have recently changed the products that I am using, and within just a few days of changing it, I'm already noticing a huge difference in my hair. I would not have gotten to that point of where I really had to find out what was drying out my hair had I not followed that bad advice. Now, the advice wasn't necessarily bad. And that's another thing where here I am, Law of Relativity, right? I'm perceiving it as bad. It was bad advice for me because I live in a desert and I have high porosity hair. I was taking advice from somebody who does not live in a desert and who does not have who has low porosity hair. So our hairs are on the opposite spectrum of the porosity thing. Therefore, we need different things. And the fact that I live in a desert means that I need to treat my hair a lot differently than she does. And so it wasn't bad advice for somebody else who has low porosity hair, who is a wavy, and who is living in an environment like she's living in, the kind of climate she's living in. It was great advice. It was not great advice for me. But I learned so much from it, so incredibly much from it. And because of it, I've started another channel because I wanted to share what I'm learning about hair and taking care of my hair. And I've left it kind of vague, Michelle Waves Hello, so that if I choose to talk about anything I'm learning about fashion, anything I'm learning about taking care of my face, I'm thinking I'll probably take and do a video about drinking water and how important it is as I take on that step in a bigger way. Things like that. There is so much that came out of that horrible situation, because I just labeled it, right? There's so much that came out of that situation, that event, that is neither good nor bad. What if that event just is? And I can choose to think it was horrible and stop caring about my hair and cut off all my hair, or think that that was the end of the world and there was no solutions, or I could take that situation and learn what my hair needs. It's pretty incredible. I think it's pretty amazing, and we can do that in every situation in our lives. So basically, in essence, to wind it all up, the theory, that's what Einstein called it, the law of relativity is just simply nothing is good or bad. It's just what we perceive it to be. It's our observations and what labels. And so we can use that information to help us to change our outlook on things and where we're headed in our lives. We can use that to pull ourselves out and to step into joy, which is the most important thing you need in order to manifest, is high vibration. How can you bring high vibration things into your life if you're not a high vibrating person? That's simple law of attraction 101. So that's what I have to share for you guys today. Remember, everybody, to let your light shine big, bright, light, and beautiful. And I will see you guys next time. Love you. Bye.